And this yesh wants to impose upon itself, not to allow itself to be drawn to the physical pleasures, rather to force itself and to now direct itself to the physical, to the divine. Good morning, good afternoon. Today is Yud Zayin Adar II, and we are on page Kuf Pei Zayin in the Maimar Vayelech Ish Beis Levi, and we are talking about the Esh Milamayla and the connection between Nefesh HaBahamis and the Malachim, and the way the Malachim are appreciating their source, and the bittul of the Malachim to their source. And the Rebbe gave the example which we discussed for a while of the bittul of the Ziv HaShemesh to the Shemesh and in the Shemesh. And the last thing we said on the top of page Kuf Pei Zayin is that regarding Etzem Metzius of the Nivraim, they are be'ein aroch to their source. All the Nivraim, all created beings, are be'ein aroch to their source. Why? Because their coming to being is in the manner of yesh me'ayin. And therefore the yesh is be'ein aroch, incomparable to the ayin. However, regarding bitul ziv hashemesh b'shemesh, you cannot say that, because both of them are limited, are finite. And therefore you cannot say that the Ziv is incomparable to the Ma'or, to the luminary. Definitely there is a relation and there is comparability between the rays of the sun and the sun itself, which is not the case with creating Yesh Me'ayin, that there is Ein Aroch between the Yesh and the Ayin. And now let's continue inside. And how does it affect us, Nefesh HaBahamis in particular? Kuf Pei Zayin, וזהו עניין הספיילוס המלאכים ומרכבה דפני אריה חולו. This is the hispilus, the excitement, the reaction of the malachim to their realization about their source, and the merkava, the constellation of Malachim, the Pnei Aryeh v'chulu, the face of the lion, the face of the shor, the face of the eagle, the Pnei Adam, which means the spiritual source of the beings in this world. The milvad zot shemesigim, ech sheishavusam hu rak mehe'ara levad. So all these Malachim, all the spiritual entities, in addition to the fact that they understand how, and they realize how their coming to existence is only from a ray, and Atzmus Or Ein Sof Kadosh Umuvdal, and Or Ein Sof itself is Kadosh Umuvdal, is exalted and separate and above and beyond. It's only a ray from Or Ein Sof, from which all the beings are being created. That's one thing, that we all come just from Ha'ara, from Or Ein Sof, from a ray of Or Ein Sof, or radiance. While Or Ein Sof itself is Kadosh Umuvdal, is beyond and removed and separate from the world. Odzos, in addition to that, כל אחד ואחד מהם רואה ומשיג ההלם שלו כדוגמתו ממש באצילוס. Each and one of them sees and realizes and understands the helem שלו, the way he is found in a helem way, in a hidden, concealed way, mamash, that is similar to him in Atzilus. Which means, please mute yourself, that each being in the spiritual realm realizes and understands, as we discussed last time, that everything that is in the Ziv for sure is in the Ma'or, right? And that means that the beings, the spiritual beings, understand that they have a source in Atzilus, meaning that there is mamash them in a concealed way, and actually in a better way, in Atzilus. So like we say that the rays of the sun that come out from the sun, for sure they are found in the sun too. Where else they are coming from? And so too, all the Malachim are realizing that they have how shall I say? They have a concealed position in Atzilus, which means in their source they are already there. And not only that, we said that the Ziv in the Ma'or is in its perfect state. The radiance in its source, it's in the highest perfect state. So the Malachim realize that they are in their source, in Atzilus already behelem, and in Atzilus there is a bedugmato, kedugmato mamash. There is an image of them in Atzilus, in their source mamash. Bivchinas Malchus de Atzilus, where? In Malchus de Atzilus. They are already there in the source, in their source in Malchus of Atzilus. The Kalil Kulon Cholu. The Malchus of Atzilus includes all of them. Everything, all the created beings. וכמו שכתוב בעץ חיים, as it says in עץ חיים, שיש כל מיני דצח באצילוס. That there are all the levels and kinds of beings that you find in our world, דומם, צומח, חי, and מדבר, you can find also in Atzilus. דומם, צומח, and חי. כמו שנקראת המלכוס, Malchus, you can find that Malchus is called many names, many adjectives, many names Malchus is called. Beshem Sela ve'even. Sometimes Malchus is called Sela, a rock, an even, a stone. And sometimes לפעמים בשם afar. Sometimes Malchus is called earth, afar. That is when Malchus is associated with Doimim of Atzilus. When it's the level of Doimim, then Malchus will be called Sela, and Even, and Afar. A rock, a stone, and sometimes earth. On the level of Tzomeach, Malchus לפעמים will be called בשם Shoshana, a rose. Shoshana ben Achochim. When Malchus comes down to engage and elevate the Klipos, then it's like a rose among the thorns. And sometimes Malchus is called Tapuach, וכן Tapuach hulu, an apple, Chakal Tapuchin, an orchard of apples. That's on the level of צומח. והיינו בחינת הזיו והחיוס שנמשך להבוס ולהחיוס כל פרטי הנבראים האלו. And sometimes you'll find Malchus is called Behema. On the level of, here it doesn't say, but on the level of animals, it's called Behema, Ban, Shem Ban. The union of Ban is 52, which is the gematria of Behema. So we see that Malchus has all kinds of names that are corresponding to Domem, Tzomeach, Chai, in Atzilus. So we can find everything in the reality of creations, you can find already in its source in Atzilus. והיינו בחינת הזיו והחיוס שנמשך להבוס ולהחיוס כל פרטי הנבראים האלו, which means we are talking about the ziv and the chayus. We are talking about the rays and the life force that is drawn from Elokus, from godliness, from Or Ein Sof, to create and to animate all the details of these Nivraim. In every world, and Domem, Tzomea, Chai, Medaber. Here is mentioned only Tzach. I guess Medaber is above. But everything is coming from that Ziv and Chayus, from that radiance and life force that was issued from Or Ein Sof to create and animate the worlds. And that Ziv, שהזיו כלול במקורו. And that Ziv, when it comes to the Shemesh, the sun, the Ziv goes out of the sun. And the Ziv is also in the sun. But obviously, when you talk about Hashem, the Ziv doesn't go out of anywhere, because Hashem is everywhere. So, for sure, when it comes to Elokus, the Ziv kalul bimkoro, the Ziv from which we are created is included in its source. ויש בו כל פרטי המדרגות שבאים ממנו בהסגלות חולו. And in the source, which means in Atzilus, in a concealed way, there are all the pratim that will be revealed in the created world. וכמו כן כל פרטי מדרגות המלאכים כלולים במקורם. And all the details of the levels of the different angels are included in their source. היינו, בהזיו והאור הכלול בבחינס מלכוס. What is the source? Malchus. So their source is the way the Ziv and their Chayus, which creates and animates them, is included in Malchus of Atzilus. They realize that they are in Malchus of Atzilus in their perfect way. הרי ריבוי רבבוס השתלשלוס הארוס והישהבוס יש בהמאור העצמי של מידס מלכוס דאצילוס חולו. That means that if you and the Malachim do reflect on it, and you realize that Malchus is the source of all creations and all worlds, then you realize the myriads of tens of thousands of levels of Ishtalshelus of Oros, of Tzimtzumim and Ishtalshelus of lights that come from Atzilus and Ishavos Yesh, so that there will be a creation of Yesh. So can you imagine how many kinds and numbers of Tzimtzumim have to happen in Malchus of Atzilus in order for all these creations to come about? בהמאור העצמי של מידס מלכוס דאצילוס. And so they realize how many tzimtzumim and how many hishtalshelus, how much descent, which is uncountable levels of descent, the Malchus, which is part of Atzilus, which is still one with Or Ein Sof, has to go through in order to create all the detailed levels of all the uncountable malachim and worlds and details and creatures in every world. מזה הם מספעלים מאוד. From this, the malachim are very, very affected and very, very, they are very reacting, very excited and reactive to this. והיינו מה שישהבוסם הוא באופן כזה שאינם בבחינס מציאוס לעצמן. Number one is that they are so impacted by really realizing that the way they come to existence, they are coming to existence, is in a manner that they do not have any independent existence. Rather, אלא צריכים להתחדש תמיד חולו. Rather, they have to be renewed all the time, constantly. So that's one hispilus, one's reaction, emotional reaction of the malachim when they realize that their existence has no independence whatsoever. And it has a 100% dependence on the source, and they need to be renewed all the time. Uveyoter, and more than them. And that's one thing. that this yesh me'ayin business, that the yesh is constantly depending on the ayin for its existence, like the rays of the sun that are constantly depending on the sun, on their source, for their existence. So our existence is 100% depending on the source and constantly needs the renewal from the source. So that's one thing. וביותר, even more than that, the reaction of the מלאכים is מה שכולם בצביונם ישנם בבחינס מלכוס דאצילוס. The fact that all of them, all the malachim and all the created beings are in their image already found in their source, in Malchus Atzilus, ולא יחסר כלל בלעדם. And that means that Malchus of Atzilus is perfect and perfectly contains all Nivraim in a perfect way, and that means that Malchus of Atzilus, which means the source, doesn't miss anything, which means would not lack anything biladam, without the created beings. And shinui, there is no shinui in Malchus of Atzilus as a result of creation. And therefore, lo יקבל שום shleimus imahem. And therefore, Malchus of Atzilus, as the source, doesn't receive any completion from creating the worlds. Unlike, we said, when a person creates a keli, remember Ochama? Yes, when a person creates a keli, then the keli has what the person doesn't. The creative power, the source of the keli, which is the creative power in the hands of the maker of the keli, doesn't have what the keli has. The keli has the benefit of itself, of being a vessel. That vessel is not found in the source, in the power of the hand that makes the keli. And therefore the vessel, once it's made by the hand, it adds shleimus, it adds completion to the creative power of the hand. That now the creative power of the hand has benefits also from the keli itself, that is actualized and now serves a purpose. And that keli did not exist in the creative power by a person when we're making yesh me yesh. But when we do make yesh me'ayin, which we don't, then the source has everything that the yesh has, and therefore doesn't mekabel shum shleimus imahem, doesn't receive any completion, doesn't get completed by the fact that it creates and it actualizes a potential. ואדרבה, on the contrary, even more so, הוא באופן משובח הרבה יותר חולו. The way all the Nivraim are found in their source is in a much meshubach, much more improved, so to speak, much more perfect way. וזה שאומרים קדוש חולו, הווייץ וכוס חולו. That הווייץ וכוס is קדוש ומובדל. והווייץ וכוס מובדל ומרומם בערך מן הנפעלים שלא יחסר בלעדם. What they have in mind when they say הקדוש, הווייץ וכוס, קדוש, 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 it's מישעיהו, but we say it in davening also, and the Malachim also say קדוש, Hashem tzvakos. It means that he is the source, is so much more exalted, בערך, from the created beings that are created by it, that it doesn't lack anything without them. It remains perfect and complete without them, because they are less than the way they are in their source. ואין שינוי כלל, and there is no shinui, there is no change to gesund whatsoever in the source that is made by the creations. והנה now, על ידי הסבוננוס הזוז, בהספיילוס והסלאבוס המרכבה העליונה, through this reflection and contemplation of us, which means the seichel of nefesh habahamis, beispailus vislavus, in the reaction and in the excitement of the divine chariot, which is the source of the nefesh habahamis, the spiritual source. על ידי זה נמשך גילוי אור האהבה העליונה דמרכבה לנפש הבאמיס גם כן, שנלקח משם. Through this contemplation, there is now גילוי of אור, of אהבה עליונה, of divine love that is now drawn upon from the Merkava Elyoina, from the divine chariot, upon the Nefesh HaBahamis. That now the Nefesh HaBahamis will be illuminated with the light of love to the divine, because the Nefesh HaBahamis nilkach misham. The Nefesh HaBahamis is taken from the Merkava, from those Malachim. Liyos ne'etak mita'avosav hagashmim, and the effect of the Nefesh HaBahamis when it contemplates on the way it comes to be yesh me'ayin, and that it in its source it's in the perfect way and it doesn't create any change when it is created, then there is a revelation from this Ahava Elyoina, the way the Malachim get nispal, and now it shines upon the Nefesh HaBahamis to cause it to want to detach itself, ne'etak, to detach itself mita'avosav hagashmim, from its physical desires, ויוכלל החום שלו באש שלמעלה. And now the heat of the Nefesh HaBahamis, which is mainly fire, as we have learned already, is now included in the divine fire. דהיינו, שיספעל ביספיילוס רשפי אש להוויה, על דרך האש דמלאכים חולו. That means that now the Nefesh HaBahamis will react and get excited with a reaction of flames of fire to Hashem, similar to the fire of the Malachim when they contemplate on their source, Malchus of Atzilus. Vezehu inyan ha'hakrava. This is what hakrava is, sacrificing. Sacrificing means bringing closer, karov. שנכלל הנפש הבאמיס בבחינת האש דאריה דאכיל קורבנין חולו. What does it mean, hakrava, the sacrificing of the sacrifices? That the nefesh, what does it mean spiritually? That the nefesh habahamis is now included in the fire of that. In the time of Beis Hamikdash, Bais Rishon, Bais Sheni didn't happen anymore. But in the Bais Rishon, every day a fire used to come from Shamayim in the shape of an aryeh, of a lion, and used to consume the korban, the sacrifice, the korban hatamid. And at the same time, they also had to bring esh milamata. They had to light the ma'aracha, the esh on the mizbeach from below. But there also came the esh, the achil korbanim, the aryeh, the esh, the aryeh, the esh in the image of a lion, the achil korbanin chulo. They used to consume the sacrifices. And that means how now the behema, which is al mizbeach, the behema, the nefesh habahamis, is now included in that fire of the malachim, of the aryeh, pnei aryeh, the malachim that are now inflamed with the or ava to elokus, because of realizing how the relation and actually the ein aroch, the incomparability, and the complete dependence at the same time to Malchus of Atzilus, its source that doesn't get affected or changed by their creation. So that's called hakrava, sacrificing, which means when the nefesh habahamis is included in Eish Lemala. V'yadua, and it's known that physically the ikar hakrava haya chelev ve'adam. The main aspect of the process of bringing the korban in the ritual of hakrava was bringing the chelev, the fats of the animal, and the dam, and sprinkling the blood of the animal. Ukmochen b'nefesh habahamis. And so too, ikar ha'akrava, or bringing the nefesh habahamis close to Hashem so it can be consumed and included in the divine fire, rather than having fire and chamimus and heat towards worldly passions, is by הקרבת הדם, החלב והדם. וכמו כן בנפש הבהמיס, the הוא עניין תענוגים גשמים. The represents, the fat represents physical delights, שמהם באים החלב והשמנוניס. From the physical pleasures come the fat and the oil, the שמנוניס, the fatness. וכמו שמועה טובה תדשן עצם. Like it says in Mishlei, שמועה טובה תדשן עצם. Good news could make the bone fat, like the story of I think it was Shimon HaTzadik. They told the Roman general, he addressed him as a Caesar, and he says, why you address me as a Caesar, as a Caesar, as a king? I'm only a general, and said, you're going to become a king, and very shortly. And then at that time in Rome, the Caesar, the other one, was killed, I think, murdered, and then that general became a shliach from Rome, came to Eretz Israel and told the Roman general that he is now the Caesar. And as a result of that, his bone, his ankle got fat, got expanded from the pleasure, and he couldn't fit the shoe on, because pleasure makes the body fat, expands the body. So that's the chelev, like shmu'a tova, good news, tedashen atzem, makes the bone fat. Vedam hu inyan resichas hadamim, and dam also represents the boiling of the blood, which means b'chinas hagvuros the nefesh habahamis. So here they have the chesed aspect of the nefesh habahamis that needs rectification, which is the passions and taivos and enjoyments of the physical pleasures of the body and the ego. And then we have this blood that needs to become divine. So that has to become, the fat has to become divine and transformed to the divine pleasure in the divine. And then the dam, the blood also has to be transformed in hakravas hadam, and hazayas hadam, and hakravas hadam. The gvuros of nefesh habahamis also have to be transformed. What is resichas hadamim? The boiling of the blood, the gvuros of nefesh habahamis, like more hakaas, anger. V'chai gavna haba'im misod ha'esh, or gaiva, that comes from yesod ha'esh, shebo bifrat. All this also has to be transformed. V'gam ha'taivos v'tanugim hem misod ha'esh. And also, taivos and tanugim, also addictions and pleasures, also have the element of Esh and come from Esh. Why? Shu'inyan choma taiva, it's the heat of the passion. So Esh is always connected with being addicted and being drawn and being taken over by worldly and physical passions that disconnect us from ourselves and our source. Ki klaluso shel nefesh habahamis hu miyisod ha'esh kulu, kanal. Because the general quality, nature of the nefesh habahamis is the element of fire. It's a fiery soul that has passions, that is koach hamis'ave, that gets excited, that gets angry, that's like a little kid. Very, very fiery. V'gam inyan chelev v'dam hu im ta'avos ha'tanugim em bikrirus או ברשפי אש ורסיחס אדם עם בזק, חולו, כמו שכתוב במקום אחר. So this עניין חלב ודם is how is your state of taivos and tanugim. Is it bikrirus? Is it like in a cool, not so engaged and invested, or ברשפי אש? Oh, a person is engaged in taivos in a manner of flames of fire and resichas adamim and boiling blood. וכל זה נכלל באש שלמעלה. When there is that contemplation of how the Malachim, the way they realize their source in Malchus of Atzilus, that affects the Nefesh HaBahamis and all the passions and fire that the Nefesh HaBahamis invests usually in its interest in the taivos of Olam Hazeh and the extending of its own ego. All this now is nichlal ba'esh shelemayla. All this now, because a person prays and a person contemplates and he uses the seichel of Nefesh HaBahamis, now all this fire of the Nefesh HaBahamis is now included in the divine fire. Shal yedei hayagia, next page, va'izboinenus, the toil, which means the effort that we make to concentrate and to focus our mind and to contemplate, ba'amakas hadas, withdrawing our consciousness and awareness into the avodas hamalachim, by before Shema, when we contemplate on the avodas hamalachim, beizboinenus shelahem, when we focus on the izboinenus of the malachim, uveispilus, veislavus, and their excitement and their inflamed reaction to their understanding and their realization. Meir milamayla lanefesh habahamis he'ara mi'or ha'ava lemalachim ha'elyonim. Then pashut milamayla, from above, as a result of that effort, from above, now is shining upon the Nefesh HaBahamis he'ara, a radiance from the light of the Ava that the Malachim experience. And that affects the Nefesh HaBahamis to now want to be ne'etak mikol ha'taivos v'tanugim, to detach itself from all the physical passions and addictions and pleasures. ויספעל גם כן בהספעלוס רשפי אש להוויה. And now the Nefesh HaBahamis will also react by getting excited with heat and flames of fire to Hashem. ובזה גופה יש אש שלמטה ואש שלמעלה. And in this itself, regarding the ash of the Nefesh HaBahamis, there are the two kinds of fire that we mentioned in the beginning of this Maimar. The ash shelemata ve'esh shelemala. The ash from below, the fire from below, and the fire from above. The fire ash shelemata, the fire from below, hu hayegia be'isboinenus hanal, is the toil that we mentally toil, be'isboinenus, in this reflection, of the מלאכים שמשיגים המלאכים ובאופן ההספעל שלהם שעל ידי זה מספעל גם כחולו. So when we are taking the time to reflect on how the malachim are misboinen and realize their source and their relation with the source, and now they get so overwhelmed and aroused by that, and they want to expire and be included in God. And when we concentrate and focus on that and meditate and contemplate on it, then there is a reaction. And Nefesh HaBahamis is also now reacting. This is the Esh Shelemata, that is the fire from below as a result of the mental and spiritual toil that we invest into this Isboinenus. Va'esh shelemala, and the ash from below, the fire from above, shelemayla, hu ma shenimshach al yedei ze gilui or milemayla me'a'ava demalachim chulu. That as a result of the toil from below, now there is issued and drawn down a gilui or, a revelation of light from above, from the Ava that Malachim experience when, as a result of their contemplation. Now a radiance from that angelic love now ignites, lights in the awareness of Nefesh HaBahamis and causes it to want to be consumed, detached from the Hanugei Olam Hazeh and consumed in Elokus. V'hine, now, בבית שני חסר אש שלמעלה. The second temple, the אש שלמעלה, which means, that represents the Ha'ara, the radiance from above, the Gilui, the revelation from above, from the Malachim, that is represented by the Eish in the shape of a lion that came down daily to consume the Korban, that in Beit Sheni was missing in the second temple. וכדאיסא בגמרא דיומא, ואף על פי כן, הקורבן כשר על ידי אש שלמטה. Nevertheless, even though in the second temple, אש מלמעלה did not come down anymore, only the first temple, nevertheless the korban was kosher, על ידי אש שלמטה, through אש from below, which means the אש of the מערכה that the Kohanim prepared daily for the מזבח, for the korban, on the מזבח. מזה יכול האדם ללמוד. So what can we learn from the fact that in Beit Sheni the אש מלמעלה was missing, yet the הקרבת הקורבן was kosher? From this יכול האדם ללמוד שגם אם אין נופל עליו שלהבת קה ברשפי אש האבה מלמעלה, מבחינת פני אריה. What should the person say? Okay, in the process of הקרבת הקורבן, of the sacrifice, when I bring myself closer to God, now that I am like in a condition of Beit Sheni, and even worse than that, I am even after the Qurban of Beit Sheni, and from Beit Sheni there is no Eish Milamayla. So let's talk about myself. Sometimes I am in a condition of a Qurban, and I don't have, God forbid, and I don't have an Eish Milamayla. I'm not inspired. My Nefesh HaBahamis is not inspired. What's the point? I did all the Yegiya, all the toil, and I don't feel Eish Milamayla that shines upon me and takes and inspires me and makes me all inflamed and with an angelic kind of reaction. So the Rebbe teaches us, don't worry, your avoida, your service of akrava is still kosher, and Hashem is accepting your korban, ובלבד שמייגע עצמו. As long as you put effort, as you toil yourself, mitzvah להביא אש מן ההדיוט על כל פנים. Even when there is no אש מלמעלה, it's still a mitzvah to bring אש from the hediot, from the simpleton, from the simple man, from below. Hainu, what does it mean to bring esh milamata? What does it bring spiritually to bring fire? Physically, it means that they had to make sure that the fire lights on the mizbeach, on the altar every day, and they have to provide the wood and take out the ashes and so on and so forth. Spiritually, it means daily litbonen bigdula savai, to reflect on the greatness of Hashem, בפסוקי דזמרה, to pay attention to the meaning of the words and to take the time and reflect on them, on פסוקי דזמרה, ובביטול המלאכים כנ"ל, and בברכות קריאת שמע before שמע, the ביטול of the מלאכים. Let's take the time and think what's going on up there, ועל ידי זה ייוולד בנפשו הבהמיס אש ואיספיילוס כולו. And through this will be born in his animalistic soul a fire, an excitement, a reaction. Or if there is no emotional reaction, or ispilus basechel al kol panim. At least in his intellect, in his mind, he will react. He will have a reaction. He will have an excitement, even if it doesn't reach the heart. והרי זה בחינת אש של הדיוט. And this is considered the fire from below. It's okay, it's still kosher. Even if you are not all inspired and inflamed. שהוא עניין בפני עצמו, because the fire from below has an independent value, an appreciation by Hashem. לבד האש הנמשך מלמעלה מבחינת פני אריה. Independently of the ash that comes down from above, from the face of lion. That is happening if a person is a keli for it, but sometimes we are not. Yet, הקרבת הקורבן is still kosher when we do the fire from below. רק שבא ונמשך מהזבויננוס הביטול דחיוס הקודש שהם שורש הנפש הבהמיס. Only that if you do want this fire from above to shine upon you, it has to become, it only comes and elicited and drawn out or down as a result of his boinanus of reflecting on the bitul of chayos hakodesh, ושהם שורש הנפש הבהמיס כולו, which they are the shoresh of the animalistic soul. So until now, the Rebbe now is going deeper and deeper into avoida. What's avoida? And avoida bekoach atzmo, and then we will have different levels of avoida. Avoida in the manner of being a ben, a child, a son of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Avoida of being an eved, a servant, of a slave, or a servant to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All kinds of avoida. But right now, the Rebbe began describing the avoida says boinanut that is shayach to nefesh habahamis. And now we are going to deal with this boinanut of the nefesh haelokis. אמנם מבחינת ביטול זה לנפש הבהמיס, מה שנכלל באש שלמעלה, דאריה דאכיל קורבנין. However, this ביטול of nefesh habahamis, the way it is included in the divine fire of the aryeh, of the lion that used to consume the korban, which means when there is an inspiration, an angelic inspiration upon the nefesh habahamis, and the nefesh habahamis now wants to subdue itself and to annul itself and to be subsumed in the divine fire. Nevertheless, even though it's an amazing bitul, an amazing nullification, self-nullification, yet hu b'chivchinas bitul hayesh. It's only bitul hayesh. There is a yesh, the nefesh habahamis feels a yesh, and v'aynu b'chivchinas iskafya levad. And this yesh wants to impose upon itself, not to allow itself to be drawn to the physical pleasures, rather to force itself and to now direct itself to the physical, to the divine. Yet it is bitul hayesh. There is a yesh. The yesh doesn't lose its sense of metzius, of independent existence, and therefore this insight and this realization and this wish to be now bitul, to be battled in a locus, is only in a manner of iskafia. It's an imposition. It's still not a total transformation. Ki klalus habitul de malachim hu b'chinas habitul de shem ban. And why is it not so? Because generally the whole bitul of the malachim hu b'chinas habitul de shem ban. What does it mean, shem ban? Shem ban is connected to malchus. Ban is, as we said before, behema. Gematria 52, which means that even their excitement, realizing that they are coming from their source and they are there in their source in Malchus of Atzilus, yet their perception is constantly a perception of Yesh that realizes its source. And therefore that's Bitul HaYesh. וכמו שנתבאר לאל, as was explained before, the הספיילוס המלאכים הוא ממה שרואים ומשיגים החיוס שלהם הכלול במקורם. What is the הספיילוס of the malachim? When they see and realize the way their chayus, their life force, is included in their source. What is their source? מלכוס of אצילוס. מקור זה הוא בחינת שם בן. Shem ban is the union of Malchus, שהוא בחינת Malchus de Atzilus, הנקרס ima tata. We will learn about it more next time, B'ezrat Hashem. Now we will read, and next time we will go deeper in. That Malchus is called the lower mother, the higher mother, Ima Ilah, is called Bina, and Malchus is the imatata, which is called Malchus. Malchus is imatata, the lower mother. Shehu mekor hachayus debiyah. So what do Malachim reach? What do Malachim grasp? What insight do they have? They have an insight into their source, which is Malchus, which is Mekor HaChayus of Biyah. The way Malchus is the source of life of Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, Imatata is the lower mother, the mother that gives birth to the created world. וגם מה שמשיגים איך שעצמוס אור אינסוף קדוש ומובדל, היינו בחינת עצמוס דמלכוס. And also, even if you want to be more specific, then when they contemplate, when the Malachim contemplate on their source, which is Malchus of Atzilus, Malchus of Atzilus has two aspects to it. The way it comes down, it's the source of Biyah, of the created worlds. That's the external, the Chitzonius HaMalchus. And then you have the way Malchus of Atzilus is one of the 10 spheres of Atzilus. That's the Pnimius HaMalchus. So that's what the Rebbe is saying here. V'gam, also, what do the Malachim realize about their source? What do Malachim realize about Malchus? What do Malachim realize about Shem Ban? שמשיגים איך שעצמוס אור אינסוף קדוש ומובדל. They realize that Or Ein Sof itself is kadosh and beyond and separate and beyond, and hainu b'chinas ha'atzmus de Malchus. That means that even their source, Malchus of Atzilus, the pnimius of Malchus of Atzilus, is also kadosh umuvdal. So the inner aspect of Malchus of Atzilus, the way Malchus of Atzilus is not a source of Biyah, the way Malchus of Atzilus is part of Atzilus, that is also kadosh umuvdal. And therefore, what do they realize and what do they understand? They understand, as we say in Birkas HaYotzer, HaMaoros, they say, Nisgav Shmo, B'chinas Nisgav Shmo, that even Shmo, the name of Hashem, what's the name of Hashem? Malchus. Malchus is the name of Hashem. Just as a person doesn't need a name when he is by himself, but in order to relate to others, he needs a name. So too, Malchus, the aspect of Malchus that relates to the other, that relates to worlds, is that's why that's Malchus is the aspect. Is the aspect of Elokus that relates to worlds. Is called Shem, the Shem of Hashem, the name of Hashem, the way godliness relates to worlds, to the other. And even the name of Hashem, Malchus, really, Malchus in relation to itself, not in relation to worlds, in relation to Atzilus. Nisgav Shmo is also exalted, is also beyond and above. Uchemo, like in the temple. V'hayam omed alehem milamala. That all these constellations of Malachim that are described as the chariot that the Navi Yeshayahu saw and the Navi Yecheskel saw and described. So that is reflected in the kior that was built in the Mishkan and in the Mikdash, that under the kior were the groups of behemoths, of animals, of oxen, and there were 4 groups of them that were on top of them. There was the big tank of water, the kior, the sink from which the Kohanim washed their hands and feet. So it's called the Yam. The kior itself, the sink itself, the tub of water that was standing upon the animals represented those Malachim, the spiritual source of creation, the different angels. And the Yam, the big tank of water, was standing over the animals. And so too, the Yam omed alehem milamala. they realize that even the Yam, which is Malchus, is Omed Alehem Milamayla, is above and beyond. Malchus itself is Nisgav, is the name of Hashem is also Nisgav and beyond the creation that cannot be grasped. Ki chol asagatam hu bibchinas Malchus levad. All the understanding of the Malachim is only Malchus, and in Malchus only the external aspect of Malchus. וכמאמר בורא קדושים ישתבח שמך. You who create the holy ones, the angels, who praise you all the time, what do they praise? Yishtabach Shimcha, only your name. Even the name, which is only your name, is not even you. They are praising. Why? Because they realize that even your name is higher than them, is not graspable. Bechinas Shimcha levad. Only your name is also Mishtabach. It has praised as Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. וכולם משבחים ומפארים את שם חולו. All the angelic beings are glorifying and praising the holy name, which is מובדל and beyond. וזהו מה שהחיות מנוסאות על ידי הכיסא. This is what the animals are uplifted by the throne, which kisei is case aleph, the case, the chair of the aleph, perush aleph hu shem ma b'milui alephin. Aleph represents, if Malchus represents Shem Ban represents how Hashem is relating to creation in a manner that they will feel themselves separate from the source. That's Shem Ban, that's the Behema. And then we have Shem Ma. Shem Ma is the Adam, the man. Bemilui, that's Yud Kei Vav Kei Bemilui Aleph, that you feel the Vav and the Hey with an Aleph. You spell Hey Aleph, and you spell Vav Aleph Vav. So if you spell Hey with an Aleph and Vav with an Aleph, Hey you spell out Hey Aleph, and Vav you spell out Vav Aleph Vav. So if you do that to Shem Havaya, which means Yud is Yud Vav Daled, and K is Hey Aleph, and the Vav is Vav Aleph Vav, and another K is Hey Aleph, then you'll have 45, Gematria 45, which represents Shem Ma, which is Inyan of Adam. Adam is Gematria Mem Hey, which is 45. So Behema is Gematria 52, which represents Malchus, and Adam is Shem Ma, Yud Kei Vav Kei Bemilui Aleph, which is called Adam, which is Zo. V'kisui lebchina zu hu Shem Ban. Shem Ban covers up the elokus of Shem Ma. Shem Ma is higher. It's the way the spheres are in their pure infinite form. And Shem Ban covers it up. And now creates the possibility of a being that will feel itself separate from its source. והם מנוסאות בהספיילוס האבא שלהם מבחינה ומדרגה זו וכולו. And therefore the animals, the divine animals, the angels, are uplifted with an excitement of their love from this level of realizing that al pnei hakiseh dmut adam, כמראה אדם, that on the kiseh, on the case, the kiseh, the throne, is case Aleph, covers up the Aleph, the Shem Ma, Or Ein Sof itself. And we'll finish here today, V'yadua, and it is known, and next time we'll go into it deeper, Mirz Hashem, the Habiru or Bitul, the Shem Ban, hu bevchinas Bitul hayesh levad chulu. That the Bitul of Shem Ban is the Bitul hayesh only. And therefore we need to continue davening and get to Kriya Shema. And the avoida of Kriya Shema leads us to Adam, Shem Ma, which is Bitul b'Metzius. We will talk about it next week, בעזרת השם יזברך.